Crypto Talk with Brianna and Scott, where we are living the decentralized life. Join us for the latest crypto news, talk, and analysis. And now, here are J. Scott McMillan and Brianna Turk.
Hello. Welcome. Let's see if everything's working today. Yes, well, this is Crypto Talk with Brianna and Scott. I'm Scott. Hi, Brianna. How you doing today?
Hey, Scott. I am fantastic. I'm currently seeing a screen that does not show us. Is that what you're seeing, or are we
We are
there?
live. We're seeing a screen. We're having little gremlins today, both of us independently. So we assume that some planet is in retrograde. I don't know if any of you astrologers out there know why there's so many tech gremlins. Let us know. Yeah, we're seeing it live here. Let me see. Oh, that just ended your screen. Are you still seeing your screen?
Now I see you and I see me. So I'm seeing us. It looks like things are smoothing out a little bit.
Smoothing out. Okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, we took off last week. We are in our summer schedule, right? We're gonna probably do this every couple of weeks now, and but we're excited to be back. Excited to bring you crypto news and crypto insight. We decided to do it a little bit differently this week than just general news. So, Brianna, tell us how we're going to do it today. What are we going to do differently today?
We're going to dive a little bit deeper into fewer topics. So in the past, we kind of bring forth just the latest news. We'll go over multiple articles and kind of just touch on them. Where this time, Scott and I both chose a subject or a topic within crypto, and we're going to dive in just a little bit deeper to really provide just a deeper understanding of whatever we want to do. So today, for mine, I'm going to be bringing in self-custody. For the last, the last 7 days, I've been diving really deep into the NGRAVE crypto hardware wallet. I currently use a ledger, and it's one of those things that I feel like for myself, sorry, I'm going into what I'm doing now, but for myself, about a year ago, I felt pretty proud of myself for moving out of centralized exchanges. I mean, that was like big move. I had my ledger. That was good. I knew what ledger stood for, but how deep have I gone into really understanding that? I haven't gone that deep. I kind of just took it all as word of mouth. This is cold storage. This is your safest place to store your crypto. And that's as far as I went. So I am taking the initiative now to dive a little bit deeper, because I don't, in the future, especially as we're going to have more, I think, in crypto, or at least I personally will, I don't want to invest my time and my money into something that's not going to last me all the way through, where I have to question, is my crypto secure? Like, I want to really sleep easy at night and feel really secure. So that's what led me into looking into the NGRAVE. And I'll admit that I kind of want the ledger just to be good enough, because I don't want to have to go invest anymore into a good cold storage, just completely sold. So that's what I'm going to bring forward when it comes to my subject, my topic.
Okay.
And I just kind of got carried away there, Scott, but maybe
that was your introduction.
To add to that'll
be your introduction.
Maybe you want to share what you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, and so I'm going to talk about. I'm really hyped on this crypto bull market that's coming, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think it's coming, and some of the reasons why I think we're about to enter it. Bitcoin is down 29 or 30 today, so it doesn't look like it is, but it's coming, and we have to be patient and be ready. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. So good. So a new little format. Let us know what you think of this. If you're on and you're watching today, and you're on YouTube, or say hi. And if you're on Facebook, same thing. Say hi, and let us know if you have any questions, and if you also have any topics that you want us to talk about. And the next week or the week after, we'll dive in deep. So we're going to try this format today. So, okay, so I'm going to let you go first, but I'm going to have to get your screen set up again. I think you're going to have to share your screen again. Does it look like you're sharing it yet on your end?
We are getting.
Yeah, so yes, go ahead and
Those
share it
damn
again.
planets.
Oh no, those planets.
Just a second here. I'm working on it.
All right, cool. I need to. There we go. Yeah, the other thing is my software. Every time it upgrades to a new version, it throws a few gremlins in there, and it's funny because it's not like it's the same gremlins every week, and who knows? But we got it all worked out. We have the power. Maybe. We had it shared, and then I got button happy. So maybe I'll go first while you're working on that. Just go ahead and share whenever you get it. I'll go ahead and switch over to mine. Oh, there you go. Okay, maybe we got it. Let me see. Blank screen, but at least I have a share thing. Maybe it's just really that slow. Okay, hold on. Brianna, share. Okay. I think we're seeing it now. Okay. All right, good. We're seeing it. Go for it.
Seeing it? Okay. Cool. As I'm bringing it into a presentation, which is just, I'm not sure what's happening. It's taking a long time, but I'll just talk about it as I'm getting this up on my screen. So this is the NGRAVE 0. And this is information that I collected off of their ebook. I really suggest downloading this and reading through it. I've been kind of going in just one page at a time and diving in, and it's like a mystery as I go. I'm like, I have these questions of how is it going to perform and how is it going to do this? And then it just goes deeper into it. So I'm trying to get it here so I can share that with you.
So let me ask you a question.
Is it coming up there?
It looks like the internet is just super, super slow because if you hit that purple present button, which you probably have, but we're not seeing it yet.
Yeah. Do you want to hop over to yours?
Well, I mean, we're so close. I figure. So when you click that present button, is nothing happening on your side?
When you click that present.
We're just skipping.
Oh, yeah, here it goes. That's what it is. I think internet probably can't handle the presentation and your video too, because now we're seeing it's trying to load your presentation. Come on, buddy, you can do this. Okay, good. We're on there. Let's let this pause for a second. I have a question to ask you before you get started.
Are we there?
We are there. I have a question for you, and I think we're even having a lag in our communication. So sorry, folks, about that. Hopefully, we'll get through this. You're going to enjoy it. We're going to give you some good info today. So why did you pick to dive deep into the NGRAVE hardware wallet when you already had Ledger? Why did you choose to find a new hardware wallet to talk about self-custody instead of talking about Ledger?
That's a good question. And somebody in a meeting, with our London Real group, Scott and I were both investors, and we are in a group through the London Real Wealth Academy. And someone mentioned this NGRAVE crypto hardware wallet. I believe that the group is investing. The London Real has an investment club, and I believe that they are investing in this company or looking to invest in NGRAVE.
Okay.
So it just, something sparked in me. And in the past, I was going to learn more about Ledger, and I kind of dove a little bit more into that. We know that they had some kind of negative press when they come out with their idea of being able to back up your keys. And this just didn't, it was either how it was launched, it didn't land well with people in the crypto community. They did come back out, release some future statements and further statements on that, but I don't know. I've been diehard Ledger, and right now I am just kind of seeing what other options are out there. And this one is calling to me, so I just went with it, and I've just been
Yeah.
diving
Well,
deep.
I'm excited to hear about this because I'm looking for something besides Ledger. I don't like my Ledger. Really, maybe nothing against the company, but I just don't like that piece of hardware. It's too small. It's weird. This interface looks a lot better to me. I'd love to get my hands on a Ledger Stacks, which is their new version, which looks more like a little phone, but they're back ordered and it's hard to get. So, yeah, I'm actually actively looking for a hardware wallet. So I'm anxious. So why don't you go ahead and dive in?
Cool. And the
All right,
NGRAVE
Jake.
Zero, they consider themselves the coldest of cold storage. So we're going to get into that. So they use a three-tier solution. The three tiers are Zero, Graphene, and Liquid. Zero is the offline touchscreen hard. It's an online offline touchscreen hardware wallet that allows users to securely store and transact. So the touchscreen is nice, specifically for people like you, Scott. I remember you complaining about the buttons on the Ledger.
Oh,
I hadn't
yeah.
thought about it until you were talking about your troubles, and it is a pain. So theirs is a touchscreen, as shown in that previous photo. Second is the graphene. So that's the stainless steel encrypted backup solution, which ensures that users never lose their keys. We're going to get deeper into that at the very end, because that's kind of really fascinating, actually. So
You
we'll get
know,
into what that
well,
is.
as you're going through this, it just dawned on me too that not everybody is going to be super familiar necessarily with hot wallets, cold wallets. Why you even need a wallet? If you're just coming into crypto, you may be like, I don't even know what you're talking about here. So as you go through this a little bit, explain a little bit, like just quickly about the difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet, and the fact about what is self custody and why it's so important to have self custody.
Yeah, I'll do that. And I think it will kind of go into that too here. So it will kind of hit
Okay.
on some of those basics here. And then number three, the Liquid. So the Liquid is the convenient mobile app that connects users real time to the blockchain without ever exposing their private keys. So as
So
I'm explaining this information, it's going to seem a little bit foreign. Kind of just take it as its own language, like each step, just don't feel the need to understand it all, but it will kind of make sense as we go. So this is a little excerpt from the Bitcoin white paper. This was said by Satoshi Nakamoto himself. He says, while the system works well enough for most transactions, it still suffers from the inherent weaknesses of the trust-based model. This is traditional finance that we're talking about here. No mechanism exists to make payments over a communications channel without a trusted party. What is needed is an electronic payment system based on cryptographic proof instead of trust, allowing any two willing parties to transact directly with each other without the need for a trusted third party. So this was kind of the premise of what Bitcoin was supposed to serve in the first place. And this is getting down to the basics of moving out of traditional finance, where in traditional finance, we have a bank as the intermediary. And with that bank requires a level of trust from the bank, and also requires a lot of information from us to the bank to be able to even work with them. So they have to know a lot about us, everything about us. And what Bitcoin provides is a peer-to-peer system that removes that need for trust, because the trust is encrypted in the cryptographic proof. So this is where self-custody comes in. If we look at centralized exchanges, I'm going to try to break this down really basic. So we look at Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, all of the centralized exchanges that people use. It's a large majority of users. It's like 90% of the users, I want to say, use centralized exchanges and remain there. And when you're doing that, that's an entryway for many, many people. But it's also still requiring a level of trust. So you are providing the centralized exchange with your KYC, you know your customer. You're letting them know who you are. They know information about you. They're storing your crypto on their platform in their exchange. It's technically, once you invest in a coin on that exchange, it's technically not yours while they are holding it. So that is why many people want to move to self-custody. One reason, there's many reasons. Self-custody meaning a hot wallet or a cold wallet. So the colder the wallet, the more secure it is, and the more ownership you hold. Really, the only thing that comes into play there when it's, well, not the only thing, but one of the main things that comes into play when you are in full ownership is now you are responsible, right? So you are 100% responsible for not losing the keys and the seed phrases that are keeping your crypto safe. So that requires a great level of responsibility. And, so for some people that might mean putting it in a safe, writing it down on a piece of paper. There's a lot of things that can come into play with that, or just some people try to memorize it in their mind. There's a lot of things that could happen, and you look into the future of passing your crypto down through generations, things along those lines. That responsibility level goes up pretty high as to how you're going to store your keys. So that's where the cold wallet comes in, and that's the importance of having the coldest of cold storage that requires the least amount of trust on anybody outside of yourself. So long-winded answer, but I hope I broke that down kind of clear.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to, did you have anything to add to that, Scott, before I go on to how cryptography works?
Ooh, look at you.
So it is nearly impossible to crack.
Nice.
You probably know this much more than I do. I have to get the simplest of breakdowns. So it's nearly impossible to crack the cryptography that generates private keys. If they are stolen or lost, there is no way back. Going on to the next page here, just give me a second. So how do you choose the best crypto hardware wallet? Well, while convenience and usability are important, there's nothing more inconvenient than losing your hard-earned coins, kind of referring to centralized exchanges. There are two golden rules for how to choose a crypto hardware wallet. Rule number one, this is NGRAVE's golden rules. Rule number one, security is the most important consideration. Rule number two, refer to rule number one. And that's just emphasizing that security is the most important consideration. And it's, in my view, and I don't know how you feel about this, Scott, but in my view, it's one of the corners that's the easiest to cut, especially as a newbie coming into this before you've gone through some pain in the world of crypto. And it's easy to just rely on a central exchange because you're operating on the same level of thinking as you would do at the bank as you're first getting in here. And it just requires a higher level of responsibility. It's a little bit daunting sometimes for newbies or for just stubborn people like I was for a while to have your actual hardware wallet and move out of those centralized exchanges. We're creatures of habit. It's easy to be on a centralized exchange. You don't have to do much. It's easy to transfer. It's easy to switch in and out of coins. There's a lot of convenience to that. So what NGRAVE is trying to do here is try to provide a great level of convenience while you have that deep level of security. And we'll continue into that. Anything to add, Scott, or should I keep going?
No, keep going. It's doing great.
Okay, so now how does NGRAVE specifically protect from malicious external threats? Well, they're reducing the online attack surface, which are the entry points for an attacker to try to gain access. So the NGRAVE carries four things. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no USB, no NFC. I'm not quite sure what the NFC stands for. There's no Bluetooth. And it simply uses a QR code. So those four entry points are typical points that an attacker will try to gain access if that's not made clear. So it takes out the threat of those four things. And then it also reduces physical attacks. And that's the risk of someone tampering with your device before or after it is in your possession. So the first one being anti-tampering, and what that is it is after you purchase a hardware wallet, before it lands on your doorstep, there is a possibility that that device has been tampered with. That's why it's so important to not purchase a ledger through like eBay, or that's not directly from Ledger itself or NGRAVE or whatever you're buying it from itself. So they're reducing the ability to be able to tamper with the product before, because somebody could have the private keys before it even arrives on your doorstep if it's not done correctly. There's an optional passphrase and a secure element. So these three things are just keeping you safe from those physical attacks from before it's even in your possession. It's also weatherproof. So like it's fire, waterproof. There's a couple other things. It's just like weatherproof and really secure in those physical ways. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so I continued to see this picture and I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't really understand that those metal sheets, stainless steel sheets that are in the back there, and that pen that's on the left, those are actually for the owner to engrave the keys onto a stainless metal sheet, which is like going above and beyond. I think
That's
is so
cool.
cool.
That is so cool. I love that.
I thought,
Engrave. Love it.
yes, isn't that cool? I finally pieced this together because I first thought that it was just like a marketing to make it look cool. That's why it had that steel in the background. I didn't realize that was a part of what you're getting. And just getting to the page that I'm going to read here a little bit on that.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm already sold. I'm gonna run out and buy one of these suckers. Of course, I don't know the price yet.
I know. I actually don't have the price right here. I'm gonna have to pull that up. I think it's right around $400, $500. Okay, so really quick, I want to follow up. It's shockproof, waterproof, offline, and fireproof. So that's that physical level that they're protecting you from. Also, you never want to store your keys. This is just a side note. You never want to store your keys on a Google Drive or on any online, even if it's like Evernote, something like that, because hackers can get in that. So the best way that NGRAVE says is to secure your seed phrases onto a metal sheet, but not just any metal, one that is resistant to heat and corrosion. So stainless steel is a good standard. I just think this is the coolest thing ever. So you punch your seed into a steel sheet and it ticks the swath box and can mitigate against a lot of self-inflicted errors. So it's protecting you from yourself, but it still represents a single point of failure. If you lose it and you risk losing your coin, then you risk losing your coins forever. If you make a backup, you are doubling the risk of exposure. There is no absolute solution to the problem of infinite regression. So here's the unique approach that NGRAVE has. So when you buy the NGRAVE Zero, you also get a two-part system for seed storage. The graphene, and the graphene is the two stainless sheets with the automated punch pen. So you don't need a qualification in engraving. The top sheet contains 16 columns and 64 hexadecimal values, creating 256-bit security, whatever that means. Sounds fancy. The automated pen allows you to punch the values associated with the holes on the top sheet into the base, and together they reveal your seed, but on their own, each part reveals nothing. So both sheets, they have to be put together to be able to
Wow,
have
that's
them.
that's cool. I like that.
So if you lose, let's say you lose the top sheet, there's a recovery process, and it's via a unique ID. But the base sheet has to be your responsibility. Otherwise, NGRAVE will become a point of weakness and undermine your security.
Yeah, I think that there's always this interesting trade-off, between convenience and security, and humans being the single point of failure, which most of the time it's us. And so it's interesting that they're coming up with these new methods to help us out in a way to do that. And like the really sophisticated cold wallets that have multi-signatures that are held like off-site, and you need two or more people to actually authorize from a wallet to unlock it. And that's great, like super, super secure. But again, then it's more inconvenience and so on. And so my thought, and sorry to jump in here, but my thought is, as I continue to invest and accumulate more crypto, I think it's a good idea to have multiple storage areas, right? Depending on how much and what you're doing. So there are, like, I keep some stuff on a hot wallet. I keep some stuff on exchanges, not very much, but some that I need to trade and be able to actively manage online. Then I could see some, again, probably greater amounts as we go forward, a greater amount on a cold wallet of stuff that I plan not to trade as much, like Bitcoin and for sure, and maybe some ETH, or maybe another couple altcoins that I plan to hold for long term. And then when I get big time and I'm millionaire and I've got 20 Bitcoins, oof, that'd be a lot. Wouldn't that be nice? Then I might have a multi-sig account offline in a safe somewhere with multi-signatures. So it's just such a foreign thing for us to think like we have to do that, because we're so ingrained to the bank does everything for us, right? And that we never have to worry about this kind of stuff. And so some people might look at this as negative on crypto. Like, oh, look at all this responsibility I have to do. Well, yeah, but don't you want the power? Don't you want really to trust yourself rather than the government or anyone else? I mean, and it also may make you like step up. I mean, Brianna and I have talked about this, is that both of us, before we came into crypto, we were probably not that fiscally responsible. We kind of just went with the flow, with the money thing and the security stuff. And by coming into crypto and being, engaged in it, both of us are now well aware of this, and we're taking on this responsibility, and we love it. But it's nice to know that there are companies like this that are helping us out along the way and making things better and more convenient, but secure. And it's just going to get better and better and better. So sorry to hijack in there, but I was on a roll there. So it's good stuff.
Bring it all. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. And that's totally it. And I want to just say, like, we can't forget, and we'll likely face times in the future of funds being frozen. And this happens all in other countries. For those of you who are watching in the United States, we're pretty good here so far. But we see what happened in Canada when funds were frozen. And that was even on centralized exchanges, but also in banks. And that's happening around the world, where people in India are only allowed to take out a certain amount out of their bank account, or nothing at all if you're not doing things right. When someone has created a way of being that they think that you should be, things along those lines. This is a way to be able to be completely separate from that, so that you have complete ownership over something, because that's kind of what we're leading to. And I know we're going to go into CBDCs in a future show, so we'll leave it for that. But to have ownership over something that's yours, that's going to be able to feed you and your family if it comes down to it, I think that's the way I look at it. That's why I want to have cold storage and some crypto in there, so you can stay outside of the system. Sorry, I'm going over to the next page here. So I just want to say really quick, when we talk about protecting against yourself, some estimates suggest that up to 20% of Bitcoin's total supply are lost forever, amounting to almost 4 million of 19 million coins that have now been mined, with a staggering value of over 160 billion at current values. That's crazy. So the fear of losing a recovery seed pushes many crypto investors to opt for the custodial wallet option. And though that puts their funds in someone else's control and opens up a bigger list of potential threats, the challenge, therefore, is to provide a practical and secure way for you to take ultimate responsibility for the list and order of the words that make up your recovery seed.
And so just to clarify, Custodial wallet option means putting them on centralized exchanges, right? For the most part.
Yeah, that's how I take it. You're still
Yep.
putting it in someone else's control.
Yep.
There's still threats if you use the custodial option. Um, and I think the way you touched on that, how you position yours, that's really similar to me. Just a little bit on the exchanges, a little bit more on the MetaMask, the hot wallet, and then the bulk of it, that long-term investment stays on the cold wallet. I'm so used to saying the ledger because that's what I've always used, but now I'm going to be saying the NGRAVE.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's really what I have. I'm fascinated by the stainless steel whole element of it. I think it's just pretty cool. It's intense that this is where we are in our world, that we're encrypting our passphrases and keys onto stainless steel. But I love
That's
it.
cool.
It's like I don't even know. I just think it adds some like action and mystery and makes things just a little bit spacier. I love it.
It's cool. That's the thing about crypto. It's cool. I it's funny. I came to crypto because of the technology, because of the cool technology, I thought, and then was just my eyes were open to everything. It was like my eyes were closed because of traditional finance. That was the only thing I could see. And when I came into crypto and Bitcoin, my eyes were opened. And I think that happens to a lot of people that get into crypto. It's like your eyes get opened. You get orange pilled or red pilled, where they say. And that to me is that, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize how much control the banking system and the traditional finance has over us. And, how I could, lose it. And as the economy comes and goes, you start to worry about the economy and think, oh, what could happen if the economy goes down or bad or whatever. And now we have the ability, this other system that we have much more control over. And, what I always say is that if you're afraid of that and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want that much responsibility, just try it, right? Just get a couple little Satoshis, get, a little bit of Bitcoin and try it out and create like a simple little secure system. And then when you're comfortable with that, then you move on to a little bit more secure. I like this thing about I really do like the engraving, because I'm really concerned about me and some of my students that I teach about, I teach them to write it down, never put it electronically anywhere. But, a lot of us, including me, are bad about keeping documents, right? And so I just tell everybody to buy this little black notebook and just treat it like it's a cherished document, like your will or something like that. But I carry it around with me. So I'm still a little bit nervous because I want to create a duplicate copy of it and put it in a safety deposit box. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm kind of like lazy now because I'm like, well, I don't have that much crypto. If I did lose it or whatever, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I really don't want to. And every month, it's getting bigger and bigger, which is good. So I really need to think about that. And but this would be really cool to have this, because I don't know how you would make a backup copy, and maybe you'd have to just do two of them or whatever, because it sounds like you'd have to have both the back plate and the front plate like in your possession or in your house. But if you were going to create a separate one that you wanted to keep in a safety deposit box, you might have to have the front and the back together. I don't know how that works. Maybe it's simpler than that.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to learn with this. Like I said, I had been reading through this for a full week before I realized there was actually the stainless true encryption, and I realized that yesterday. So, absolutely more to learn, and I'll bring that forth to you in the future.
Well, cool. Well, that was good. I really enjoyed that, and hopefully people that aren't that familiar with it learn some things. It was good because it talked about cryptography, private keys, and just the practice of maintaining security. And I think that we can never talk about that enough, because it's so important. And it's not as hard as you can think. Gosh, if I can do it, if you saw my life before crypto, you'd have never thought that I would be responsible enough to do this. And some days I still question it, but I just take it seriously, and it's not that big a deal.
Yes, crypto's like the ultimate learning lesson on how to be responsible. It's there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we should write a book about that.
So yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's good.
crypto saved my life, or how I got my shit together after crypto.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
All
Scott and I
right.
are
Well,
always talking about what book to write.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm gonna zip through mine, and just it's more good news. Let's pop over here to mine, and you're still on the. Let's see if I can fix you here. Where's Brianna? There you are. Okay, cool. All right, crypto is about to rip. I see this like source. What does that mean? Oh well, crypto is about to rip, and I think a lot of it is to BlackRock and Ripple. Now, okay, let's just move into it. So basically, hopefully by now you've heard that BlackRock, which is the largest asset investment company, asset management company in the world, has put in an application to the SEC to offer a Bitcoin ETF. And I've been reading a lot. I'm just kind of winging it now. I've been reading a lot that some people are saying, well, we've had a Bitcoin futures ETF. Why is it such a big deal to have this? And one of the biggest reasons is that when you have futures, you're not actually buying the assets. It's like the future, it's buying the contract on the future of what the price will be. The difference between this and an ETF is that when a customer buys from BlackRock a Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock has to actually go out and buy Bitcoin. So they're actually buying it. So the more people that then opt in to buy a Bitcoin ETF, the more Bitcoin will be purchased, which will drive the price up. So the key issue here is that there are so many people that are still afraid of crypto. They don't want the hassle of crypto. They don't want to deal with some of the stuff we talked about today with security, but they like the fact that crypto is a good asset. I mean, it's the highest producing asset in the last 10 years. It overall it has produced more consistent profit than any other asset. And so it's volatile, it goes up and down. So this is what confuses a lot of people. They're like, oh, I hear about this great asset, and you buy it, and then it's up to 60, 70,000, and the next thing it's down to 20,000 or whatever. And they're like, what is this? It crashed. That was bad information. No, it's that you don't understand the concept of the way crypto is so volatile. But over time, and not like over 20 years, but over 1 year time, you have 40, 50, 60% swings. And if you know that and can deal with it, it's still the best outperforming asset. So there are a ton of financial advisors out there that there was a study done that financial advisors, they own Bitcoin, but they don't buy it for their customers. Their mechanisms or their company still doesn't allow them to actually recommend buying crypto. And so when we get this Bitcoin ETF, it will be it'll be a sanctioned, it'll be a regulated, it will be a very traditional type asset now. And so you won't have to worry about some of the intricacies of Bitcoin and some of the stuff you have to do on your own. And although we are huge proponents of getting in here and doing it on your own because you have much more control again, there are some people that just won't do that. In fact, there's a ton of people, especially now at the beginning stages of crypto, which we still are. So when BlackRock is able to then offer this Bitcoin ETF, which an ETF is basically like a mutual fund, it basically it uses you are not buying the Bitcoin, BlackRock is buying the Bitcoin, and then you're buying the connection to it, the derivative. And so as Bitcoin goes up and down, the price of that ETF that you bought goes up and down. And so there will just be a ton of assets moving into the crypto market because of this. The other cool thing is that they were the first, they are the biggest, and once they stepped into the ring, a bunch of other people did. So a bunch of other big institutions did too. So you've got Fidelity and Chase and Morgan and all the big guys now also have filed to do this. So BlackRock is like, I think it's 571 to 1 that they've applied for, and they've only lost one application in an ETF that they wanted to do. So I'm pretty sure that the SEC and BlackRock kind of was a wink wink that, hey, if you, BlackRock, want to do an ETF, we'll let it pass, because the SEC has turned down many companies over the last 8 years that have wanted to offer a Bitcoin ETF. They just turned them down. Said, no, it's too volatile, too risky. So this is a big deal. I've kind of talked through this slide already. I think the other key thing here is that I don't fully understand the intricacies of this, but it is really interesting that what's going to happen here is, if you've been following crypto, if you've watched our show, we talk about regulation, we talk about Gary Gensler, we talk about the SEC cracking down on crypto sort of unfairly, in our opinion. And what's interesting is that what's going to happen here is that now that BlackRock, a very traditional financial institution, wants to get into the crypto game, they're going to do it in a regulated and controlled manner, so that it's all up and up as far as the SEC is concerned. It's in a regulated world. It's almost like, well, it's not almost like, it is like the SEC has said, look, the current crypto world right now is sort of this independent. It grew independently from the traditional finance. It grew up on its own, and it became a powerhouse, a juggernaut. And the SEC and government didn't know what to do. This is just my opinion now, but they're like, oh my gosh, they didn't know what to do. It got so popular and productive, and it's mainstream. And they've been trying to slow it down, saying, look, we are not prepared for this. We need to control everything. We're the government, and we're not ready for this. So they've been trying to slow things down. And I think this is a step where now, okay, the SEC, they trust BlackRock, they trust these big institutions. And so this is the foray into crypto. This, to me, is like the first little step. It's a step now that is going to bring more people into crypto. Once this happens, I believe that they're just going to take a calmer stance. They're going to say, okay, now that we have this and people can get into crypto through our approved methods, through these big institutions, which they have these relationships with, hopefully now what's going to happen is the crypto industry, that you can just take the pressure off, and crypto industry, open source crypto industry, can continue to innovate and put new stuff out there and push decentralized cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and so on, forward. So that the government, traditional finance, is centralized. There's one point of failure. They control everything. And so decentralized is that there's no one single point of failure, that you can't shut down Bitcoin. And that if you own Bitcoin, they can't shut you down, because if you have self-custody, like we talked about. So this is really interesting. This is, to me, is the beginning of the whole new era in crypto. And there are some people that are afraid of this, some crypto people that say, look, now you're just copying and taking traditional finance and dumping it into crypto. You're gonna corrode, true crypto. I don't see it like that, because I'm hopeful that this is just the game we all have to play to move it all forward. The government's not going to just step back and say, go for it, have fun, do whatever. They're going to be involved. And so I think this is a big step. Now, we'll have to, keep an eye on it. So this doesn't get to be the juggernaut, and they basically say, hey, this is working so good, all of crypto needs to fall under this format that BlackRock sort of has here. So we'll see how that goes. My hope is that the people that are afraid, that never would get into crypto and they want to stay in traditional finance, this is a way they can participate in the benefits of crypto. I think that it'll bring more attention to crypto now that more people will be exposed to it. Some people will say, hey, I think I want to get more involved in this on my own, and they'll start to come in to owning their own crypto, owning their own wallet, and so on, like we talked about. So, what else have we got here? So an ETF fund, like I mentioned before, it's an investment fund that tracks the performance of an underlying asset or group of assets and allows the investor to gain the exposure to a particular asset without actually owning it. So they don't have to go out and buy Bitcoin, but they can take advantage of it. And a lot of people will love this. There is trillions of dollars that financial advisors have control over by what they recommend to their clients. A lot of people, you have a financial advisor. And when they now can suggest, hey, you should put 1% of your portfolio or 2%, in Bitcoin, and here's a safe way to do it, and it's along the rails of traditional finance, I think a lot of people jump in here. So there's going to be trillions of dollars now moving in. I think I have a slide here. Yeah, I have a slide here. It talks about crunching the numbers. Check this out. So BlackRock has $9 trillion. They have a portfolio of $9 trillion, bigger than the gross domestic product of most countries. A lot of people are afraid of BlackRock. A lot of people actually think BlackRock is the devil, that they control way too much. And that may be true. I don't know. About 11% of Bitcoin's current supply sits on exchanges. So like Coinbase, Binance, other exchanges just sitting there. 2.2 million coins. So based on today's prices, that equates to about 66 billion worth of Bitcoin. From BlackRock's perspective, 66 billion is measly. So if just 0.7% of BlackRock's assets were allocated into Bitcoin, that would be enough to absorb all the available coins on exchanges. So I just find that fascinating. Basically, if only 0.7 of the people available once they have this Bitcoin ETF, if they were all to jump in, they would buy all the existing Bitcoin out there. Well, at first I'm like, well, I guess that's not good. Well, first of all, there would still be Bitcoin available to exchange. Now it would just be people would be buying and selling it. But what is that going to do to the price? Well, if that's going to shoot the price up. I mean, because anybody that wants Bitcoin now, there's no more new Bitcoin. I mean, there will be the miners are still creating new Bitcoin, but it's just a fraction of, what's out there. They're still creating new Bitcoins. And, we know that there'll be 21 million eventually coins, but the price is just going to, supply and demand, right? So there'll be limited supply, hopefully, obviously huge demand. So that alone is just going to crush it. Now, there are some people I've read that, it's like, nah, this is no big deal. We've had other, ETFs. There's other countries like Canada and other countries that have had a Bitcoin ETF before. And that didn't, when they allowed it, it didn't significantly move the dial. I just don't think they understand BlackRock and the power that BlackRock has and the power that the U.S. market has when it really gets fired up. And I think this financial advisor thing is a big deal. I could be wrong, but I think that's going to be a really big deal. So that's BlackRock. The next thing is Ripple, the XRP Ripple. This also is monumental. And these things happened just a few weeks ago. This all just kind of happened within a month. So, we all know that we've been in a bear market and, crypto hasn't been looking too good. And there's a lot of bad things that happened last year in 2022. And then all of a sudden in a month, boom, boom, two really big things that are going to change everything about crypto in my mind. And so XRP was a token that was created by this company called Ripple Labs. It's been around for 8 years, maybe 5 years, definitely, the XRP token. I think the SEC 2 years ago sued Ripple Labs and said XRP is a security. And this was the beginning, I think, of the SEC's onslaught onto crypto and saying, hey, slow down, crypto. We can't have you out here, doing your own thing. And Ripple was one of the very first companies. The coin did really well like a couple of years ago before the SEC filed a suit against them. But they've been in court for 2 years trying to figure out, is this coin a security or not? And even so, XRP has been available to buy and trade, and its price has gone way down because of the uncertainty of this lawsuit. But it's still maintained. Still, a lot of people still really believe in XRP, that it's a really good token, that it has a utility, that it actually is it's a utility coin that actually can be used to actually speed up transactions across borders, kind of like Bitcoin does. If you have Bitcoin today, I can send it to anybody, some Bitcoin, and they'll get it within a few minutes. XRP was one of them that is trying to work in the institutional area, like speed up banking and large corporations and stuff, the speed of transferring, millions of dollars really fast. And it has a lot of other stuff, into it. But it's a really good technology. It's a good company. It's a good token. But it's just been held back because the SEC's been, they've been in a lawsuit. Well, finally, the judge came out this week, and the verdict basically said that XRP is not a security. And I'm not going to go into all the detail of why it's not a security, but the judge said that based on the security laws that we have now, XRP to retail consumers is not a security. It's not. One of the things that I heard some comment about is that part of the reasoning is that if you go onto Coinbase or any other centralized exchange and you buy XRP as a token, you don't really know anything about Ripple. Ripple is the company that issued it and created the XRP, but you don't know much about them. You just went on Coinbase and said, hey, this looks like a good performing coin, and you went and you bought it. And you had no connection or relationship with Ripple. And they said, based on that, then that's not how security laws are set up. Security laws are set up like if you want to go buy Apple stock, you know that Apple is the provider. The only reason that you're probably buying that stock is because you think that Apple is going to do really well and that the price of the stock will go up. That's this connection, this relationship between a retail investor hoping and relying on Apple to make profits so that the stock goes up. And what they're saying in this case, that's just not the relationship. It's different. Now, some people could argue it's kind of that way. It's like, why shouldn't somebody that buys XRP know Ripple? But it's different because a lot of these tokens, they're not just simply a security that just sits there and the only way they earn value is by the company doing better. They have utility. Like when you buy these XRP coins, they actually are how the network runs. Without these tokens, the network doesn't even run. So there's a fundamental difference between crypto tokens and the reason they're called securities, that probably has been one of the biggest problems, I think, for crypto, because people think, oh, a security, well, that's more like a stock or, a bond or dollars. It's not, when Bitcoin first came out, Satoshi basically wanted Bitcoin to be a currency that you could trade and, I could pay for things with my Bitcoin. But that's not the reality of what the world is right now. It may get there someday. It may not be Bitcoin. It may be somebody else. But right now, Bitcoin is basically a commodity. We buy it like gold and we store it for value. Anyways, that was big. Now, it did say, the judge did say, though, and this is what's so fascinating, that if you're a company, if you're an institution, and you directly had a contract with Ripple to buy what they call institutional grade tokens, if you will, they bought them directly from Ripple, and maybe at a discount, maybe whatever, but it was a signed contract between Ripple and this company to buy these tokens. Now, that was a security. And so the whole thing's not over because there is that to deal with, but that doesn't affect the retail people. And they're saying that the biggest problem for most retail crypto people was that, hey, we just bought this off of Coinbase or whatever, and now we're being penalized. So right now, that's not a security. So once this was passed, the XRP token ripped. It's come back down now, like all crypto does. But what this fundamentally is saying is that now any token on any central exchange that we buy as a token is not considered security. So Coinbase and Binance were sued last month by the SEC because they supposedly were illegally selling securities, different tokens, which the SEC actually named a few, like Polygon and Cardano and some of these other coins that they considered might be securities. This ruling basically says, no, they're not security because it's the same situation, XRP versus, say, Polygon or some of these other tokens. So we'll see how this happens, but very soon now, those lawsuits should blow up. We'll see what happens. Maybe they aren't going to give up, but they should blow up, which pretty much means now, as investors, as retail investors, we don't have to worry about this as much. I'm not sure the SEC is completely done with this, and we'll see what kind of tricks they have up their sleeve. But basically what we're saying is that we now should be able to buy crypto tokens, not worry that the government's going to say their securities and have the value drop. But crypto's crypto. Things are changing fast. It could change, but this is a big deal. So basically, this is why I really believe that this is why crypto, I'm just going back here to my first slide, is about to rip. We've been waiting for this kind of push to happen. Now, I think the last thing probably is interest rates and now the Fed. So we're always kind of dealing with the government here. Once the Fed starts to cut rates, I think things are going to rip. And what my philosophy is that now once you get more liquidity, more capital flowing in, people can borrow money at cheaper rates when the rates are lower. You're going to have just more allocation, and some of that's going to come into crypto. And crypto always moves a lot faster than any other assets. So Bitcoin will start to move up really fast. I'm a believer at 100,000. I'm a believer in like 80,000 by the end of the year, maybe 100 by the end of the year, which isn't that far. But I could be completely wrong because, again, legally things could shake out that kind of dampen it. But next, in 2024, the Bitcoin halvening is coming out. So that always, somewhere after the Bitcoin halves, and that basically means that if you're a miner, you get so many tokens to help mine and take care of the network. That's going to be cut in half. So I think it's 6.5 now. So I think it'll be down to 4 something, Bitcoin. So it's just going to be less supply. So with less supply and more demand, the price is going to go up. It typically always in the past has gone up anywhere between 12 and 14 months after the halvening. Crypto has doubled. Every year since crypto's been around, it's gone higher than its high before. So it goes down, but when it goes back up, it goes higher than its previous low or high. There's no reason to believe that it won't do that again. Now with this extra good news, I am so freaking bullish on Bitcoin. I can't even tell you. I freaked out, Brianna, I don't know, about a week ago. And I was like, oh my God, I got to sell everything and buy Bitcoin. I've got to take out loans on everything I can find and buy Bitcoin. And I was just totally FOMOing and freaking out. And everybody around was like, calm down. Ugh. And I was just like, I got to get in. I'm going to lose out. And it was so funny because I'm just like, dude, you sound like one of those crazy guys on YouTube. Oh, I guess I am on YouTube. But no, and I kind of settled down, and I had some good counsel from a lot of my mentors and the people I learned from. They're like, yeah, we think Bitcoin's great, but we also think some of these altcoins are great too, or some other opportunities. Like all of crypto is going to go up, so there's ample opportunities. And so a lot of people say, yeah, I'm saving Bitcoin and I'm still dollar cost averaging and I have it, but I'm not going to go out and buy a ton more. I'm going to maybe look at what altcoins are going to go up, because Bitcoin is so big that, if it goes up a lot, that's still like 4x or 2x or whatever. But if you buy, like if you get in on a Cardano or a Polygon or some of these other coins that are, a fraction of the market cap, and it goes up 50%, now you've just 10x'd your money. So you just made a much bigger percentage gain, in your money. So so I'm not sure what I'm going to do right now as far as that goes. I'm actually now kind of looking like, what altcoin should I be interested in? And if you follow the show, certainly 6 months ago, but during the bear market, I was like, I'm not interested in altcoins. I don't care. I got my Bitcoin. I'm dollar cost averaging. I'm all about DeFi and earning yield. And I think that made a lot of sense in a bear market. I was making 20, 30, 40% on just parking my stable coins in these DeFi protocols. But in a bull market, you can make a lot of money if you pick some of these altcoins. And the thing is, they're all going to go up. Which ones are going to skyrocket? And I don't know, because I think the theory I have, and I'm going to ask you, what you think here in a minute, is you've got these blue chips, some of the layer ones like Cardano and Solana, and I guess even Polygon now is a blue chip, but you've got Polygon, Optimism, Arbitrum, which are these layer 2 applications that sit on top of Ethereum and make Ethereum better. And I'm big time bullish on them. I think they're awesome. I use them all the time. Thank God for those. They save me so much in gas when I'm doing my DeFi transactions. I'm wondering, should I bet on those guys? I think they're going to go up, or should I start looking around for some of these strange ones? Like there's an altcoin called Relio that does real world assets. It takes like real estate and other assets and tokenizes them. I've heard some really good things about those. It's down to, it's like 20 cents. If that could rip up to, 80 cents to $1, that'd be a, 10, 20, 40x. There's a bunch of them, that are like that are going to rip in this bull market. We've seen it before, but it's like anybody's guess in a way. So that's kind of where I am. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm just giddy about this bull market. What I love about it is that it's going slow, because then I'd be freaking out again if it was going really fast. Like, oh shit, I got to get in. Which altcoin? So I'm just kind of taking my time, but I'm preparing. I'm like, which ones? And I'm also looking, whatever I do, I'm going to start looking at targets. Like, okay, when it gets to so-and-so, I might sell. The thing is, I don't want to make the mistakes of what a lot of people have done in the past. And very common mistakes, which is you get emotional about something, you throw your money in there, and you don't have a plan. And I don't want to do that. That's like how I react to most things. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that with this. This is going to be my one area where I'm going to have a plan and I'm going to be disciplined. So we'll see how it goes. But what do you think? What are you looking at any altcoins now? Or are you getting excited? Or is Bitcoin? Are you just going to chill? Or how do you feel about all this?
Yeah. Okay. So those were great. That was a great presentation. Those were 2 big points. You hit all the points on the head. So thank you for that. Good job. And I'm really feeling just kind of the feel of coming out of that cold, long bear market. Like that was the time to really spend time to invest in educating ourselves just on the whole ecosystem. So I did spend some time doing that. Altcoins, I have some that I just feel they've been around for a while. Of course, there's those projects that have been built in this last bear market. As was saying would happen as we entered into that bear market, that a lot of the projects that would be built within that bear market are going to blast off, as they always do, as soon as things start to hit. So looking into those options, like that real estate one that you pointed out, I think is very wise. Have I done that myself? I haven't. I just don't have the bandwidth. Am I more bullish on Bitcoin than ever? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm probably more on the side of putting more into Bitcoin than many, due to the fact that I just see it as a saving grace, as keeping outside of a system where I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the altcoins and all the rest of the crypto ecosystem that's not Bitcoin, as far as will that be outside of the system, or will that be more controlled on as we bring in the CBDCs and all of that? There's a lot of unknowns there. Do I think that Bitcoin as a whole, or not Bitcoin, but just crypto as a whole, is going to head into a bull run? And is that happening now? I absolutely think so. So since I don't have the bandwidth right now to go into new projects so much, and I say that now, next week I'll probably be diving into something. I'm sticking with what I'm familiar with when it comes to altcoins. Polygon has always been one for me. I've always loved GRT, the graph. That's kind of an AI coin. Those are the ones that I'm just kind of sticking with. But as we know, and as you said, there's that excitement level, and we know what happens in the bull run. It just gets there's pretty lights and it gets flashy, and there's a lot of things that it's a whole different feel. So I think mentally preparing is wise, as you pointed out. And just preparing. Yeah. Making sure that cold storage is in place too. I really want to look into the NGRAVE. That's kind
Yeah.
of where my mind is with all of
Wow.
it, just waiting to see what happens. I feel that bull run, but I also feel like there's some unknowns, but we're working through those regulations, the questions that were just hanging out there for the last forever. So once that clarity is there, what happens with BlackRock? That's going to be interesting. And I know that once that mass adoption hits, whether it's going to be this bull run or the next one following
Yeah.
that, when people really jump on, it's supposed to be exponential growth. And I definitely want to be in pretty heavily, but well balanced before that happens. I don't want to lose out on that because that's kind of a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah. Uh, the timeline on BlackRock is they have, I think they have till March of next year actually to make the decision. And if it goes that long, then of course it pushes everything, all this, out even further, which is fine because I do think that 2024, you know, I'm hoping that things start hitting in there, and I think some of it will, but definitely by 2025, because the halvening sometimes can take a whole year before all that momentum or whatever from that supply and demand catches up, and so definitely by 2025, I think, could be. But that being said, that's like eternity in crypto time. There's a lot that could happen between now and then, so you just never know. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though at some point during this, if this stuff continues to hit. I'm gonna be bouncing off the roof. I'm gonna be going crazy. I'm gonna be FOMOing. Hopefully not with my money, but I'll show excitement. Hopefully I'll have. I'm gonna have a lot of things like this popping up on the screen. Maybe let's see. What's this one? This is the brain fart one that I hope doesn't happen. Yeah, and then what's this one? This is the mind blown. I might have that one. When things start getting really crazy. So we'll see what happens. But more
Great.
emojis on the way.
That mind blown one was like back in the last bull run was just the most common emoji. It was always mind blown.
Yeah.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Actually, I'm glad you bringing it up because your mind was just always blown, and it was like you would reach these fascination levels with people in your community, and you're just like sending the mind blown emojis, and you're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is nuts. And
Yeah.
bouncing off the walls. Super exciting.
Yeah, we needed the bear market to have our mind grow back because it was blown to bits.
Exactly.
Well, let's get out of here. We've been rambling over an hour again, but yeah, I think this was fun. We'll do it again next time, and we'll pick a couple topics and we'll dive deep and we'll ramble, of course, and maybe throw in a few emojis and whatever else we can think of. So thanks again, everybody. Let us know what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, and just give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye, everybody.